This is like a probiotic experience. I just use there's usually a small in the water, jar with some powder, shake it up. So you stuff it.
Sorry.
No worries. How's this?
40?
Yeah.
She's ready to go now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm putting no Kyle. Then when he gets back, you ready?
Like 3 weeks later, I'm fine. I'm going to give it away.
Sure. Got everyone's phone?
Kids, child's
Yeah,
we have cold out, like
Chilled out.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 baby divers. All of my friends will have babies. So every time they came, you got that.
Don't carry that stuff. Yeah. Like, I'm never going to use it.
Yeah. That's what I was about to say.
Not happening.
Your pop-up blocker. Awesome.
Yeah, don't do it. That's right.
Good to go. Does anyone want to give their pitch again or give a different pitch? You want too many? Okay, floor's open, man.
Wait, am I being recorded?
Just like before, 120 seconds.
You got this, buddy.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Manny.
Bitcoin 3.0.
2.1B.
6 minutes.
All right. So in this black book, I have the top 50 movers and shakers of the crypto world. Every move they make, I know they're going to make it before everybody else does. And now you can get access to this information as long as you sign up before XYZ date. I know this is a rough thing. I don't have like a pure promise yet. I don't have an urgency date, but I have my mechanism and I'm pretty fucking proud of it. So,
So just to boil it down, you're talking on the guru's voice that they have.
yeah, it's a guru
The black
story.
book of all the connections in the crypto world.
Front end or back end?
Patrick.
So just to kind of explain your mechanism then, what does that mean? Like, what is it?
So basically, right, every crypto boom that's happened, right, you would never know. You would never know when it's going to happen just because everything goes like this in a day, right? So, however, since this guy knows like the owner of like Ethereum, Zcash, Dash, he knows every single one of these guys. So he knows when something big is about to happen. And he can tell everybody when it's going to happen, what to expect, and what to do, when to buy, all of that jazz.
So what if you found a real guru to test that idea? What if you found a real editor to test that idea? Or maybe
I do.
What was it?
Rich Jacobs.
Doesn't Altichurch on its own? No?
Rich is more in the know. He's like
He's like, he brought everybody together for that big super conference.
Okay,
So,
that's good.
yeah, he pretty much has all the information.
Any other what ifs from you?
Well, yeah, I mean, what if you push that piece of it, that whole super conference thing? That's my baby.
Yeah, that's going to be the
Right.
first proof point to show that he knows everybody. This is how he came to be. That was the very first objection, actually.
What if you included a story in the copy involving that conference? You position it. What if you position like a secret meeting or something?
Secret meetings?
Behind the scenes.
What if it was, well, that secret meeting idea, what if it was something about this crypto insider leaking information?
Mm-hmm.
So crypto insider, this is going to be bad, but crypto insider leaks details of secret meeting, which projects
Bitcoin 3.0 to soar by 32,000%. So
Right. I like it. Right now, I'm modeling though something similar that was done in energy markets, where it was a promo of this guy where he said, what was it?
only 50 people control all the world's oil.
No, it was an energy market, and they had me on speed dial.
Mhm.
So he had, and the way he did it was he talked about like 2 opportunities that were happening right now, and then he talked about opportunities that if you knew what I knew, you would have made X, Y, Z, and I like those are all there.
Joe reminded me something about the headline though. And one of the reasons why that one worked was 50 people control the energy markets.
Right.
Mhm.
So that might be something you think about in that mechanism. Like, it's just 50 people that know what's happening in Bitcoin versus like or the crypto market versus 50 people that control that market. So the difference.
Mhm. I guess I could play that.
And
up.
people really believe that the crypto market is being manipulated. They go either way on that.
That reminds me of, there's talking about the energy, that reminds me of like those called the cartels or whatever.
Right.
And what if you work crypto cartel?
Oh, I love that.
That's all like that.
Give-
Right in the
Rob
crypto
gets
cartels.
Rob gets 50 basis points on the.
Okay, now.
This is kind of out there, but what if you position it like inside this book, the next 2 years of the crypto market is already recorded or something?
What if you include like 2 examples of some sort of deals that are going through? You know, so hey, this guy there in the market, there's 50 guys, we've already done 1 crypto deal, pulled in 3 million, in a week, whatever.
Oh yeah, that's definitely in the outline. That's not bad. But I hear what you're saying.
What if you took, because Jacobs, he has like podcasts and he has all this material, so I'm sure he said something, and then, that something happened at some point. So what if you took like 2 of those examples and then say, oh, 3 months later, look what happened. He said it happened exactly.
There's actually one perfect example of that, which is where he put $1 million into something because he knew it was going to happen before it happened. That pretty much lets him.
There you go.
Okay, thanks, buddy. Good.
Thank you guys.
Anyone else? Some of you guys have asked me about a promotion I wrote that did $30 million in gross sales and like where I got the idea from. So I actually have one of the sources for this bag. And not the exact, there's actually many sources that I couldn't fit them all in the bag, but what's in this bag kind of represents one of the secrets I've used to generate $10 million in copy per year for like the last 4 years. Okay, it's right in here. Ready? Book. This book is where I got the idea from for the impact system idea. The thing about it was this book, which is a good book, has 353 pages. There are actually 3 pages out of this book that I use for the impact system. Okay. So when I want to talk to you guys today, this is just like a little mini lesson we're doing before the main lesson, is how to read a book. Because it seems like a real basic topic, right? How to read a book. But if you're writing copy, I think you should be reading, and we'll get to a minute what that means, a book every 2 weeks. Probably more would be better, I think. So how do you do that without spending all day just reading all day without actually doing anything else? And the answer is you don't. I'll tell you in a minute what that means. So step 1 when you read a book is you need to have a purpose for why you're reading the book. Okay, a lot of people, their purpose is to read a book for pleasure. There's nothing wrong with that. I read books for pleasure. I'm reading one right now by Nassim Taleb called Skin in the Game, which I'm enjoying very much. But I'm reading that book for pleasure. When you read a book for pleasure, you start at the very beginning and you read every single word till you get to the end. That takes a very long time. Okay? So if you're reading a book for research, you do not read the book. Okay? You search the book. So search, don't read when you're reading for research. Okay? So when I mean search the book, I mean when you get the book, say you got it from Amazon.com, you read the inside flap, you read the back, you look through the table of contents, you look in the index, and if you find something interesting, you go to that section and read it. Okay? Like for most nonfiction books, you're probably, you're getting the spoilers, but you got to really apply the 80-20 rule, because in most books, I'm talking even ones you read for pleasure, only 80% of it's crap, 20% has any value. In this particular book, it's 3 pages out of 343 pages that I actually use, so you can do the math on that. All right. How do I found those? Well, I mean, it happened to be right in the beginning of this one, so I got kind of lucky. But you skim, okay? You don't read every single word. You skim, you jump around, you use the shortcuts in the index and table of contents. This stuff sounds very basic, but it's not. It's actually the opposite of what they teach you in school. I mean, teach you in school, they just tell you, like, read the book. Even the books we've been assigning you as part of a copy camp, if you're reading every single word, well, you don't need to now. Okay, you have permission now to spend 15 minutes of the book. You spend 15 minutes of the book. How many books can you read per week? All right. Another thing that's interesting about reading a book, don't read every single word. A lot of people do this, even in their fiction reading, and it's very inefficient. And you won't remember any of it. Unless you're an extremely visual person, you can just visualize the page. Some people can do that, but most people, even then, you're not even reading every single word. You're just taking a picture of the page. What you want to be doing is creating visualizations in your mind of whatever you're reading. Okay? So the more you can make, in general, like if you want to enjoy fiction more, make it a movie in your head. It's very hard to make a movie out of The Death of Money. Okay? I had to work real hard to kind of like think of pictures and scenes and models in my head. I mean, you can create mind maps. Some people do that. That's another way to like turn the words into a picture. But if you can create pictures, like the recall rate is over 90% of visual images and pictures. Our brain's really designed for pictures. They're not very good at remembering words on a piece of paper. So again, don't read, search a book, 80-20 rule, make pictures in your head. Try to read as many books as you can, and just know what the purpose is why you're reading a book. And I'm giving you now permission to read a book in 15 minutes. Okay? Any questions?
I mean, what if you had to jump over those 3 pages?
What if I happen to jump over the 3 pages?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a risk, right? But it's the 80-20 rule. I mean, what if I had spent, instead of even looking at this book, I had 10 other books ahead of it. I hadn't got to this one. In this particular case, I knew the editor, I knew who wrote a book, so it was pretty easy. I kind of cherry picked a really easy example. It's not, I mean, finding what you need out of books is kind of really important piece of the work. And my point is, the faster and better you get at it, the more efficient you get at it, the more effective it's going to be. Another thing too is, like, if my purpose was to find a specific piece of a story or a fact or something to back up a promo, I'm going to be reading it different than if my purpose is to find an idea. If I'm going to find an idea, then maybe I am going to be a little more diligent at, but I'm still not going to read every word. That's really, and the more you can study like speed reading and things, we won't get into that, but like the better it's going to be. So if you're looking for an idea, then you're reading a book different than if you already have your idea and you're trying to find specific backup for an idea. And again, if you're reading it for pleasure, you just happen to like Jim Rickards and you're into his stuff, which some people were. I mean, nothing wrong with that. Then you're going to read it a little different. Maybe you're going to read it, a little more in depth. Any other questions? Okay, end the lesson. How many of you guys got the email I sent over the weekend of the extreme fortunes example? Okay, good, all of you did. We're going to talk about that How to launch a product, what particular strategy you can use to launch a product. That particular example that I sent you generated $12 million in a single day. So it's worth studying for that alone. I didn't even send you the promotion because, to be honest, like in my opinion, like I didn't think the copy in that promotion was that great, to be honest. I think a lot of that $12 million was the strategy, how they actually launch the product to the customer. And that's what we're going to talk about in the beginning of this session.
Do you want to get these out now or later?
Later.
Got it. Okay, so we got 3 things for you guys, and I'm going to try to do them all 3 in less than 60 minutes, so you don't yawn at me. Number 1 that I'm going to teach you guys today is product launch formula. That's what Ryan's talking about. Number 2 is going to be order forms, what goes into an order form, and number 3 is what's going to come after the order form, which we would just define as the funnel, right? So let's do these things in order. Product launch formula. Who is familiar with the product launch formula? Okay, almost all of you guys. Somebody tell me what the product launch formula is. Define it. What's the objective of it? Anybody? You can just call it out. Lloyd, go.
So you create you pretty much tease your offer through a series of emails or through a series of pieces of promotion until you get to the launch day, in which case your prospect is so excited about what he's about to expect that he's more likely to buy.
Yep.
And to be retained.
Yep.
Along.
Okay, so the general thing with the product launch formula is that you want to build excitement before your sales letter ever hits the customer's email box. And if you do it right, you could produce a huge big bang in sales in a very short amount of time. There's a lot of good with the product launch formula, and I'll cover that, and then there's some bad with the product launch formula. I'll cover that. But does everyone basically get the concept? So there's 2 ways to send your customers a sales letter when you're finished. Number 1 is you could drop it on them cold. So you get done your sales letter, you spent 2 months on it, and you just email it out to your customer, and you hope that the response comes in well. That's one way to do things. The second is you do the product launch formula. So it's a ton more work. I'll tell you guys that up front. It's like writing a whole nother promotion. So instead of writing one promotion and dropping it on your customers, it is a ton of work. I'm going to tell you that.
That's kind of a way to look at it. A promotion for your promotion.
Yep. So you're basically going to send that first promotion, which is all meant to warm them up, get their asses in seats for a very specific time that they're almost pre-sold. And what comes at that specific time is your second sales letter, which is your normal sales letter. So how do you do that, right? So it's a little deceiving because you don't have to do it to launch a new product. They should call it the promotion launch formula. It does not have to be a new product. It's best if it is, but it doesn't have to be. So you can do this with an existing product as well. But the steps are basically the same. Number 1 is you're going to get somebody to basically take some type of micro commitment to join a sublist where they are about to receive more information about this coming event. So for instance, hey, we're hosting an event on, I'm making this up, on April 18th at 1 o'clock. It's going to be hosted by this crypto insider who's about to leak this sensitive information that he just found at a meeting. And what he's about to leak could make you 32,000%. So join us 1 p.m. on the 18th as he leaks this. To join, it's free. Simply enter in your email address. So getting them to enter in that email address is that little micro commitment. We would call that list a hot list. So you're going to hear this term thrown around if you haven't already. That's called a hot list. When people enter in their email address, they are on a separate list. We call it a hot list that we begin to warm them up and keep them warmed up to the date of the event. So here's the number 1 mistake that I see when people do the product launch formula is that they opt people in. They get people to enter in their email address and then they don't email them for like a week. When they opt in, you should begin sending them emails every single day, sometimes twice a day. At some point, there's going to be a tipping point of how much information you can send them. Like you probably can't send them 10 emails a day or they're going to tune you out, right? But you shouldn't send them 0 emails a day either. They have entered in their email address and they say, I'm interested in this event. Send me more information. So don't be shy about what you send them. So from that point forward,
I just want to clarify. These are cold customers that maybe clicked on a space ad that we had bought space on Facebook or
no,
Google or something.
typically these product launch formulas happen to your internal audiences because
For backend.
they're almost always for backends. Almost always for backends. So these are going to be sent to internal lists.
Okay,
It's going to be sent to the 5-minute forecast.
Yeah, they're existing customers.
Yeah,
So-
existing customers. I do not, and this is for our industry, right? If you look at stuff in the internet marketing world, they do things a little bit different. They'll drop to affiliates and stuff like that. But in our world, typically, it's going to be sent to people that we already have a relationship with, and it's going to be done for a backend. Quick side conversation. I've seen people do product launch formulas for front ends, and I don't understand it. Product launch formulas are not scalable events. With a front end, your idea is to bring in hundreds, if not thousands of customers every day. Product launch formulas don't really allow you to do that. So if you hold an actual live event in a moment of time, say April 18th, how do you bring in customers on May 18th or June 18th? You can't because your event is now done unless it's an evergreen webinar. Long story short, try to do it for backends only for right now. So step number one is you're going to get them to opt in via a landing page to what we would call a hot list. When you get them on the hot list, you're going to begin warming them up or keeping them warm, meaning that you're going to begin sending them emails, right? Again, don't be shy here. So typically what you want to do is in each email, take a weapon of influence that we covered, 2 weeks ago, use at least one weapon of influence and email them something to begin to persuade them to get their ass in the seat on the day that the live event launches. For instance, there's a weapon of influence called authority, right? Typically, your first warm-up email after you build a hot list is going to be your authority building email. Email them and tell them why the editor or the guru is so amazing. Tell them what is in the background of that guru that's going to make them a lot of money on April 18th. So authority is one weapon of influence that you could use in your warm-up series. So you can send them 2 emails on day 1, right? You could use authority, and then you could use reciprocity. You can give them away a chapter of this guru's book in exchange for them coming back and opening the next email, basically. So you pick at least one weapon of influence and you begin to warm them up. Cool so far? And again, I'm covering this super quick. You guys can go through the Extreme Fortunes launch and you'll see how all this works.
And I'm going to give you the book Launch by Jeff Walker. It's just on order right now.
The thing here, though, is there's a big difference between lift notes and warm-up content. Because lift notes are pure tease, right? In the warm-up content, you want to begin, it's like a sales letter that you're breaking down and actually delivering them some type of content. You don't just want to send them a 3-line tease. In the warm-up emails, they should have actual value and content. If you tease with no value, you're going to watch your open rates drop on these hot lists.
Jeff Walker calls it a sideways sales letter. So you have your sales letter, right? Like it's like this, and it goes back like 20 to 40 pages. If you turned it sideways, you kind of put it in like chunks. That's really what you're doing. You're basically sending parts of your sales message mixed with content ahead of time. So we'll get to maybe like the how-to in a few minutes, but a lot of times when I'm constructing these, I'm basically copying and pasting chunks out of my sales letter and putting them in the content that's going out to the hot list. Now, I'm not teasing. I mean, I'm taking like pieces of proof, like actual stuff that's more, it's still sales stuff. It's not pure content, but it's more meaty thing. It's just not like the way I might describe it, like between a hot list email, a warm-up email, and a lift note is that lists are there to sell what? What are you trying to sell with a list? Ask Rob. Click now, Braddock. Right? Selling clicks. Right. What's the purpose of your promotion? To close a sale, right? The purpose of your product launch or PLF sequence is basically to sell attendance. You can't sell them if they don't show up. As Joe said, we're telling you, usually they're always framed as an event. It's going to be 1 o'clock, March 12th, 1 o'clock Eastern. If you're not there, if you don't show up because you have no interest, then the whole thing is kind of pointless. You want to tease them enough, we're not giving it away, but they also have to know what they're doing. It. Otherwise, your conversion rate's going to be really low, where it's just like you want them to show up and be somewhat warmed up to whatever your sales message is.
So let me tell you another mistake I see that people do all the time. In the warm-up series, they'll say something like, hey, the event is April 18th at 1 p.m., and don't worry if you can't show up because we're going to be replaying the event at 6 p.m. What's wrong with that?
There's no urgency.
There's no urgency. If your idea is to sell attendance, why in the fuck would you tell them there's going to be a fucking replay 5 hours later, right? There's going to be a replay 5 hours later. We know this. You don't have to tell them that. You want their asses to be in the seat at 1 p.m. I don't know why. People fuck this up all the time. So I don't understand it. Like, you put people on a hot list, email them. Don't just sit on the list for a week without emailing. Like, I don't understand why people make that mistake. The other mistake I don't understand why people make is that if you're selling urgency, why would you tell them that there's no urgency?
Yeah. I mean, that's
bananas. But what happens is one person does it, and everybody else fucking does it after, and no one's thinking. So think.
That's the trade-off when you make these things. Is there is natural scarcity. The event is 1 o'clock, March 24th. It's not going to be 2 o'clock BPM. It's not going to be March 26th. That's it. Like, that's your biggest hammer. Is if they miss it, they miss it.
So please, if you're going to do a product launch formula, don't ever make those two mistakes. Don't ever put them on a list and not email them for a week and a half. And then don't ever tell them that there's going to be a replay 6 hours later, that if they can't make the event, not to worry. It should be, look, this thing's going live at 1 p.m. If you got a doctor's appointment, cancel. Push it to the next day, unless it's something life-threatening, right? Then you should probably take it. No, we can't sell you if you're dead. But it should be like, look, like if you got a birthday party, mail the fucking card, right? If you got a doctor's appointment, push it to the next day. If your friend wants to have lunch, tell them that you're busy that day, whatever it might be. Like, show your ass up at 1 p.m. That's the whole idea. You're selling attendance in the warm-up series.
So you're selling the event. So you don't want to mention the product, obviously, because they don't really even know they don't really need to know what the product is, because they're going to make assumptions and then categorize that. So, whatever your big idea is for the promotion that you're launching at that time, a lot of that content should be around that. Just think of all the different dimensions of it. Like Joe mentioned, authority, you want to hit social proof of other people using the same strategy, for example. You want to hit that pretty heavy. You want to try to get some commitment and consistency. You already got some commitment and consistency by them just putting their email on the list, but you might have other little things to do, like email me back what you would do with $100,000. We've done that one before. But the promise is you can make $100,000 from the strategy that we're teasing, and send us back a video of like what you would do with that money. And your goal is to get people to get like emotionally involved in the event, and if they send a video of what they would do with $100,000. I mean, that person's buying, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if other people see that, it's actually a way of social proof for something that it doesn't even like happen yet. Really, it just shows you're credible though, and it shows like it must be real. If people are talking, other people are taking videos saying what they're going to do with that money. So even though it's totally logical, it's totally like emotionally feels true.
Who knows what the IKEA effect is? You know what the IKEA effect is? By Dan.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you guys. This is the IKEA effect is what the product launch formula should do, and it's awesome. So a lot of people don't know about this, but you guys should. You should learn how to do this, because if you build it into your product launch formula, it's just going to skyrocket sales. There's a gentleman who wrote a book called Predictably Irrational. His name is Dan Ariely. If you guys have ever read that, he's fantastic. If you guys have not read Predictably Irrational, you should. It's awesome. But he's a behavioral psychologist, and he studied this phenomenon that he calls the IKEA effect. So basically what he did is, I think he's a professor at like one of the Ivy League schools, like MIT, Yale, Harvard, something like that. He conducted this big study, and in focus group A, he had, let's say, 50 people come in, and there was a piece of IKEA furniture. Let's say it's a chair, and it's built and sitting in the middle of the room. And in that focus group, he had everybody label the value of that piece of furniture. So it's built, it's sitting in the room. They go around it, and they say, look, I'd be willing to pay $19 for that chair, right? So on average, let's say it was $19. Focus group B, he had you come in, and he had the box that the chair is in just sitting there. You had to assemble the box, or you had to assemble the chair. So as a focus group, you had to go in there, you had to unpack the box, you had to put the screws in the chair, and now you built the chair. And then he said, what do you value that chair at? And it was double. So it was double because they built the chair. If you build something, and that was the IKEA effect, if you build something, you value it much more than if you're passively just looking at it. This is why if people go to sell their homes, they don't believe that comps in the neighborhood are selling for less, right? So if you're going to sell your home and you're like, hey, my home's worth $100,000, and the realtor says, no, there's comps that are selling for 50. You're like, well, that's bullshit. My home's more valuable than theirs because you built memories in that house, right? So with the product launch formula, the best thing that you could do is get the customer to build the launch along with you. That's what Ryan said. So like when you email them and you say, hey, look, if you had $100,000, what would you do with this $100,000? And if they start responding to you, there's some commitment there going on. Like they're building the value in their mind of what they do with this product. Or you could do kind of cool little things where you can have them name the product. You could survey them. Like, what do you think we should call this thing, right? They start writing in, and then now they've named the product. And now they're part of building the product alongside you, of which they will value that product as higher because of the IKEA effect. So it's built into all of us. If we build stuff, we value it as higher. If we hang the pictures on the wall of our house and build the memories of, little kids running around, we look at our houses irrationally having more value than what our neighbor's house has, even though it's the same damn house in the same damn neighborhood with the same damn fixtures. But it's because we built that house. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So in the product launch formula, do everything you can to get the customer to build the product alongside of you. Another cool thing is, and you have to be a little bit clever on how you do this. And this is what's going to work for Brad's new launch here, because we're getting the customers to build the product alongside of us, because what we're saying is in Brad's launch, because he runs the education business, that Zach Scheit is going to Zach Scheit's going to quit unless we allow him to release this education course. And we don't want him to release the education course because we're in the newsletter subscription business. And we know that if we sell education, then our customers may quit us, right? So Zach's like, hey, I want to release the course. Management's not letting us. I'm going to quit. So you got to help me convince management to release this course. And we're going to get customers to flood our email box saying, you need to get Zach to release this course. And then we're going to say, hey, Zach broke us. Now he can release the course. But it's because they're writing in feeling like they're building this product that's why it's going to work. So in your product launch formula, try to think of creative ways to get the customer to build the product alongside of us.
Do you have any idea what the response rate is on these, when you ask questions in these emails?
Yeah, let me give you a couple numbers. Well, yes and no. So let me give you a couple sets of numbers, and we're going to cover these a little bit more when we get to the numbers section in a couple days. So the first thing you want to look for to gauge how engaged your hot list is that you want 40% plus of the people to open the email after they're on the hot list. 40% plus open rates. So that means if you send an email to the Daily Reckoning and you have a link, you click the link, it goes to a landing page. The landing page says, enter in your email address, and at 1 p.m. we're going live. Let's say you get 100 people to enter in their email address. When you send them the day one content, hey, this is the insider, here's what he's leaking, yada, yada, yada. You want 40 out of those 100 people to open that email. If you have, and I'm going to give you some metrics, and this is like scary about how predictive this is. If you have less than 30% of your people opening your hot list, your launch is not going to go well. It's not going to go well. So if you have less than 30% of the people on the hot list opening, something is gravely wrong, and you might want to abort, or you might want to figure out how to re-engage them somehow because it ain't working. And this is every time. I've seen perfect correlation to this. Less than 30% open rates mean a shit launch. And we violate this all the time too, because we have 30% open rates, and then someone says, well, maybe this time it's different. And then we go and we do all the work to launch, and then no, it's never.
Called commitment.
Yep. If you see north of, let's say, 35 to 45, it's going to be pretty decent. If you can get hot list people to open it north of 45%, you're normally going to have a pretty big launch by the day you launch.
I mean, it shows they have anticipation, right? They're actually, they must have read, we don't know this because we don't really track clicks per se in these emails, but if they're opening up the next day, then that's something in that email previous day must have engaged them, and they're going to keep opening it because you want them to open up the actual launch day. You want them to say, when it's 1 o'clock on March 24th. It's here. It's finally happened. Click here now to watch the event that I've been telling you about. That's what you want them to do. If they don't open that, then that's it. Missed it probably.
Okay, so step number 1, you're going to create a hot list, right? Number 2, you're going to engage that hot list, get that hot list warmed up, get them to build the product alongside of you in really creative ways. Step number 3 is going to be your launch day. Right before launch day, you're going to email them multiple times and tell them the exact date that it's going to live, the exact time it's going live, what subject line to watch for in the email. So, hey, I'm going live tomorrow at 1 p.m. I'm going to send you an email at 12:55 p.m. The subject line of the email is going to read your urgent broadcast link. Make sure you watch out for it.
Good success when you email them like, hey, you want to get on this other list, you can get it early.
Yeah, but we have some legal problems with that because legal gives us some
Yeah,
compliance.
it gives people choices then too. Then they get confused.
Check.
Do you put like a link in there to add to the calendar?
Yes.
Yeah, we have done some of that stuff. So like anything you can think of, like how do you boost attendance? Like we've had like on the sign up page, put your phone number in there and we'll send you a text that day multiple times, plus the day when it launches. We send voicemails. There's a service out there that will like trick your iPhone where it doesn't actually ring, it just goes right to your voicemail. So you check a voicemail and be like, James Ulter is saying, I'm looking forward to attending my event today at 1 o'clock. And the more you can think of those things, the better, the more successful it's going to be. Because again, the whole thing is just attendance. You can't sell to an empty seat. You have to put butts in seats. Is really the whole point. So
yeah, contact them by any means possible. So gather their gather their phone number either on the landing page or post on the landing page, like on the first confirmation email. Get their phone number because you want to send them a text message. You want to send them a voicemail. Push them to Facebook Messenger if you can. So there's tools in there that you can say, hey, join me on Facebook and I'll remind you on Facebook. Any and all reminders. So send them a text message, call their voicemail, send them an email, Facebook message them. All you want is them to show up that date of that event. Rob, do you have something?
Yes. I guess like a lot of people are at work or something about this as well. Have you figured out like what day and what time, like lunchtime on Friday is the best time?
Everybody's been doing 1 p.m., but that's only because everybody does 1 p.m.
So no, 1 p.m. or 7 p.m. we tried.
Yeah. Yeah, if we've done actual live events, we typically do them at 7. If you're doing a pre-recorded event, like it's just going to be it's a webinar that's been pre-scripted, pre-filmed. People have done 1 p.m. No one's tested. There's been no one that's found out that like you said, like Friday at 3:30 p.m. Right? I wish I had better stuff for you, but no one's tested it.
This is always going to lead into a VSL.
Doesn't have to.
Something else similar to.
I mean, it's going to lead into an
video
event of some type.
Okay.
So
not
it
a
could.
written promo.
I'm sorry.
Not a written promo.
It could.
It could be that.
The written promo could be the event itself. It's the reveal of the letter that Zach's going to turn into management. Like it's building the format of it doesn't matter as much as long as it feels like an event of some type. So again, that event could be the reveal of a letter. It could be the original live broadcast of a true live webinar. It could be the first ever world premiere of a VSL. So you just want to make it feel bigger than just a sales letter, however that is. But the format you can manipulate.
What percentage of the working promos here would you say followed that route with this whole product launch?
I would say, and this is just a total guess, right? That it's probably, my guess is 45% actual live, like live, pre-scripted, but done live. Probably 45% pre-scripted, pre-filmed, just broadcasting, but that feels like a webinar, like it's recorded. And then the other 10%, let's say, is going to be either a written sales letter or straight up VSL with no video component. Not that it has to be that way. It's just that's the way it is kind of right now.
Yeah, I'd say that's helpful. What I was asking actually, like of all the promos we do, how many, like what percentage follow this?
That follow this? I don't know. Probably a dozen a year. So probably one a month.
Gotcha. That kind of gets a little bit to like negative too.
Yeah. And again, this is a weapon for you guys, and we're covering it now because this has nothing to do with your big idea, right? your big idea has to be good. It could be written in a VSL format. It could be written in a webinar. You can use the product launch format. We're covering this now because this is the weapon for you to think about after your idea is done. If you want to effectively do a shit ton more work for a gamble, that it might increase response. Like you do this well, it can increase response by tenfold probably. But it's a gamble because you're writing a whole, it's like you got to write landing pages, you got to write lift notes for your landing page, you got to write all this pre-warm-up content. It's got to be good pre-warm-up content. You can't just dial that in, because if you dial that in, then your open rates go low and your attendance goes low. So we're just giving this to you as a tool to say, you know, if it were me and I'm a copywriter and my expectation is to write, let's say, 6 promos a year, I might think about this for one of my 6. And I would really pick the right event. Like it has to feel like an event too. It just can't, it has to feel like something you can get the reader to build alongside of you. So not every idea fits into this, but for the ones that do, it can significantly boost sales. So for me, I would say it's probably 1 out of my 6 a year that I would use this tool for.
Would it make sense, or is this not smart, to have, as one of those pre-commitment things, is to have people tell you what time they're available, so you can
Save it for a whole, save that idea. We'll talk about it outside of here because it gets really complicated. There's a lot of evergreen webinars where people can pick their times.
Right, yeah.
We just don't do it so much right now. It's effective for folder traffic a lot. It's a long discussion. Manny, did you have something? Okay, Kyle?
Yeah, I might be jumping ahead. This might be like step 4, but how do you repurpose all that stuff? Like if you've spent all this time building this hot list and building up excitement for this event, aside from outsourcing it to like other companies, businesses, and publishers, once that thing goes live and you collect all your money, how do you keep it alive?
Yeah, I'll talk about that. Remember when I said there was good and there was bad? That's the downside. That's the bad.
Yeah.
I'll talk about that in a second.
So step 4, after step 3 was launch. Step 4 is the post-launch.
So let's talk about launch real quick though. Yeah. So launch, again, you're building all this anticipation. Have your ass in that seat for 1 p.m., right? And for the 24 hours before then, you're contacting them in any way possible to get their asses in that seat at 1 p.m. And you're giving as much specificity as possible about what to expect at that event. As far as like, again, the subject line is going to read urgent broadcast link. Like, you don't want this thing getting lost in other messages. So tell them everything you can tell them. So then you got launch, right? So now it's 1 p.m. on the 18th, and you're going to simply send them an email 5 minutes before. Well, you're going to send them a couple emails. You're going to send them an email like 3 hours before, an hour before, 5 minutes before, all with the links. And these are like the easiest lift notes you could possibly write. They're really short, and all they are is, here's your link for today's broadcast at 1 p.m. Click here. That's really it. Because you've built such anticipation at that point that you don't need to tell them anything more. They're waiting. They're on the edge of their seat for that urgent broadcast link. So for the last couple of emails getting them up to launch, they're really, really, really short lift notes. Then your launch happens. They click there. Your video goes live, or your letter goes live, or whatever it might be. Your webinar goes live. So that's the launch itself. So now let's say, and I'll give you another really quick statistic. With this formula, what happens is that you pull all of your demand forward. Almost all of your demand comes forward. So probably 75% of the money that promotion will ever make will come in the first 3 hours of you going live. So if you're going to make, let's say, total $1 million on that idea, you're going to make $750,000 of that in the first 3 hours. So between 1 and 3 p.m., 75% of your sales probably come in. So now you're post-launch. Now it's 3 p.m. You got $750,000 in the door. Now you're post-launch. Now you can tell them that you've recorded the event, and you're going to rebroadcast the event at 4 p.m. Now you can tell them. Because all the people that wanted to show up, you got them to show up at 1. And the people who didn't, now you can tell them maybe it wasn't a convenient time. We're going to rebroadcast this at 4 p.m.
This is the long tail, but it's not as long as like.
Then at 8 p.m., assuming it's not an actual letter, you can rebroadcast the transcript of today's event. So now you can deliver the same promo to them in a different format. If, again, it's not an actual letter that you launch with. So if you launch with some type of video, if you launch with a video sales letter, if you launch with an actual live webinar, just give them the transcript at 8 p.m. So now you can pick up all the buyers that potentially didn't, want to watch an hour and a half long video or an hour and a half long webinar. So now, if you look at it, that day you launch, you're probably sending them 6+ emails. You're sending them 3 to get their asses warmed up and in that seat with an urgent broadcast link. You're sending them a launch email. You're sending them a rebroadcast at 4 p.m. email, and you're sending them a transcript email at 7 or 8 p.m. That's not shy, right? But again, that's why you don't blast all of your list with this. This is why you get people to sub-select that they want this info, and then you can blast them pretty hard. And by that, I mean giving them what they want. Then here comes another thing that everybody fucks up too. You actually got to close that offer down to create urgency again, right? So if you've pulled 75% of your sales forward in that first 3 hours, you probably pull another 10% forward over the course of the rest of that day with an urgent broadcast link and with your transcript link. So now you're at the end of that day, you probably have 85% of the sales that you're ever going to get. That thing will stretch out to no end and you'll make no money for the next 2 weeks unless you close the offer down. So you typically slap an urgent deadline on all live events. That deadline typically is midnight that night or midnight the next night. So the idea is close the offer down. Pull forward the rest of the sales by creating urgency again, this time the scarcity urgency. So the first piece of urgency was the reveal of the event that they've been building alongside of us. The next thing you're going to create is scarcity by closing the offer down. I've seen where people want to stretch the idea of the live event out. It never works. Like you pull, the whole thing here is you're pulling all your demand forward. So people think, oh, look, we made $750,000 in 3 hours, and they start doing projections. If I can make another $750,000 in the next 3 hours, and the next 3 hours, and the next 3 hours, it never works like that. The whole thing pulls all your sales forward. So make sure that you close the offer down. Quick little trick is you can close the annual price offer down. Then, so let's say you do that 48 hours after the event, right? Close the annual offer down. Then you could come out with a quarterly offer for all the people who didn't want to commit to the annual offer. Then you can close that offer down 24 hours later. So you can come out with a couple different offers. Then you could create a monthly offer for the people who didn't want to pay the quarterly fee. And you can close that offer.
We'll suppress the people that actually bought, because that'd be a thing when I think of like, well, I'd be pissed if I found out like I could just waited and got the quarterly offer from the month of. Well, they won't even see that most likely, because if they actually did purchase, then they'd be suppressed from those final cents.
Let's talk about that real quick though. When you price quarterly offers and monthly offers, price them higher than what people would have paid for the annual. That's super important. And another people think, like, I don't understand people, that's super easy and people screw it all up.
Yeah.
So if your annual offer is $2,000, do not price your quarterly offer for anything less than $501. You always want to make sure that you're penalizing people for waiting and for paying less to get started. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So when you price your monthly offer, right, make sure that over the course of the year, if they accept that monthly offer, they're paying more than the quarterly people, which are paying more than the annual people. So as you're closing offers down, make sure that you're not having them pay the same price. Because when we say, look, it's $2,000 per year, we're closing this thing down, actually close it down and make them pay more
like 10% usually? Seems like a rule of thumb, 10% penalty.
Sean, what do you got?
Are you upselling them back into the annual when they buy the quarterly?
Yes. Yep. So once people buy a quarterly, there's typically a renewal that goes out that says, let's save you money by buying the annual. And then same thing with the monthly, right? Hey, let's save you money by buying that. So yeah, that'll allow us to do that from a renewal/retention side as well. So this is pretty much the conclusion of the product launch formula. It's one weapon for you guys to use, one marketing tool for you guys to use after you get your big idea done and after you think about, how your sales letter is going to be laid out. Do you want to apply a product launch formula to it? Again, the good about that is that if you do it the right way, it will boost your sales multiples of just dropping that promo to your house traffic. The bad about that is that it requires you basically to write a whole second sales letter, which all has to go through compliance and legal, which we're going to cover on Wednesday. But all those warm-up emails have to go through compliance as well. So after you've submitted a whole full sales letter through compliance, you're going to have to submit all the warm-up sales or warm-up pieces through compliance as well. So that's part of the bad, is that it does require a whole lot more work. Another part of the bad is that you don't know how that idea is going to work because it's an untested idea. So you're loading up on a lot of work on a whim that you think that thing's going to work. So that's why, again, if I'm writing 6 sales letters a year, I'm picking what I believe to be the best one for this format, and I'm going to go with that one, but I'm not going to do it for all 6 because it's going to be impossible for me because I'm going to do too much work, and I know that all 6 aren't going to work, the way I hope them to. And the third bad thing is that it's almost impossible to come back out with that sales letter after the product launch formula is done. Like I've never seen, I'd say never is a dangerous word. I've rarely seen where this promotion will continue to work outside of the product launch formula, because what have you done? You've taken everybody on your list who's been interested in that idea and hammered them, for a week and a half, 2 weeks, warming them up and closing the cart and opening the cart and closing other offers. You've pulled forward all that money that when you send that same sales letter back to the list who didn't opt in the first place to receive the free information, no one's going to buy from that. So it's really rare that I've seen these things work outside the hot list. That's another mistake people make is that, again, they project all these earnings because, they pull forward all this money and they think, oh, I'm going to launch this thing later and it's going to continue to do a couple $1 million. Because if we launched it only to 10,000 people the first time and did 2 million and we have 1 million people in our file, then, oh my goodness, it should make 200 million when I release it later. It rarely ever works outside of the promotion, rarely ever works. So you kill it quickly. It's like a match that burns very hot and burns out very quickly.
Another metric interesting with these things, hot lists, is you can do the conversion rates are going to be ridiculous. So if it works, but the way you can really measure it then, because it's going to be distortion in the conversion rate, is you can take that total amount and then divide that total amount of the take divided by the hot list, and it'll give you an interesting metric like a dollar amount per name on the list.
Yeah, so here's the way you should shoot for this. For every name that you sign up to a hot list, you should make approximately $30 for that name. So let's think through that. If you have a hot list size that you can build of 20,000 people, and you know that your target is $30 a name for a good hot list, what can you expect that hot list to make when it goes live? 600 grand. So anything north of $30 a name is typically a way to say, did that hot list work or not work? If you pull $100 a name, that's a really damn great promotion with a damn great hot list. So if you're trying to compare apples to apples to look at, say, I want to go study the best product launch formula in Agora, but it's going to vary because everybody's got different hot list sizes. Divide out the total revenue by the number of names on the hot list, whatever that dollar per name is. If it's north of 100, it's a really damn good product launch formula study. If it's less than 30, it's a non-working.
Because the conversion rate is going to be naturally high. It doesn't really tell you that much. Right? If you go 100,000 people on your list and you have a 6% conversion rate, that could be terrible depending on.
Have you guys done any tricky stuff to try to get them more qualified on the hot list? Rather than just say, hey, sign up when you're in the school day.
I think that the more quality the copy on the landing page probably has a factor, but I don't know how you test that.
Right. You can select a couple different ideas.
We've split tested before landing pages occasionally to see if we can get a boost in conversion rate to the people that sign up to the hot list.
Right.
That probably has somewhat of a factor, right?
Okay, so I'm going to cover 2 other things now, and these should go faster.
Once you're on the hot list, do you have a typical amount of time?
It's normally about 5 to 7 days. So it'll be 5 to 7 days of warm-up content before you get to the event.
That's another risk when you talk about doing these things, though, is there's another step you're adding on there. You have to get people, get the right, really good lift notes and a great landing page to get people to convert just to sign up for the hot list. I've seen a few people attempt to do product launch formulas and they have 2,000 or 3,000 people on their list. Well, you could do the math, $30 per name. That's the max they're going to get on that. So if they had gotten 30,000 people on that list, then their number would have been 10 times that. So you see how that works? So that's the tricky part. If you can't get people to even sign up for the hot list, that's going to be a problem.
I got a question.
Yes.
So maybe you can help me out with this. So what if I launched a product, right? It did pretty good. And we decided, hey, let's just add a re-lead and then just turn it into a hot list build. Can we do that as a way to just skirt around the whole, we're risking whether or not this is going to work.
As long as it feels different enough.
You mean, oh, I see. Take an existing promotion, change a little bit, and then do a launch on
Yeah,
it?
like relead it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, typically when you release something, it's not going to work as good as the original. Few exceptions.
Okay, all right.
So if you're going to do it, you probably want to do the most bang for the buck would be to have an original, brand new thing you're showing.
Okay.
Not a new product like Joseph. It could be a new promotion.
Right.
We could probably spend like 3 full copy camp days on product launch formulas, but read that launch book if you haven't already that Ryan said is going to come to you guys. Study a couple, like you're going to see this. This is happening around Agora all the time now. Every week somebody's got a live event. Every week someone's got a webinar that's being released on this date. So you guys all get my web batch that I send around, right? Just sign up for all these competitor ones. So you're going to see them. I'll put them in there. So anytime, like I think Stansbury Church House is having one around Tama. I don't know how you say his name. Tama Church House? Yeah, he's having one for Bitcoin on, what's that? March 8th, I think. So whatever that is, Wednesday.
Make sure to study like the whole warm up series. If you want to build a swipe file of those,
You put your name on the hot list and just see how they treat you. And you're going to see a gazillion of these things going on in Agora right now.
Question.
Keeps happening.
So, how do you find them? Can you find this on Iris? You can find the hot list.
Size?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't find it in Iris.
I think it's an Iris lead gen.
Well, it would be in ours,
Yeah.
but if you're looking at someone else's.
Oh, someone else.
So if you're looking at someone else's, ask me after class. I'll show you how to look it up. It's through a different reporting system called ClickView, where you can see everybody's e-commerce mailing numbers, and then you can pull it that way. So ask me after class because it's too long to show you. Okay, so stepping aside from the product launch formula, that's just one tool that you guys have to increase response after your big idea and your promotion is written. We're going to violate the rule of one here because I'm going to give you 3 ideas in one lesson today. Second idea I want to cover, totally unrelated to product launch formula, is the idea of order forms. When you turn your promo into compliance, so your promo is done, you've got your big idea done, you've got your headline and lead, you've storyboarded it, copyboarded it, you've done your live read, you went through multiple rounds of editing. Now you're ready to turn it into compliance. You must submit an order form at the point of submitting your copy to compliance. Your copy will not go into legal for have the compliance people look at it unless you have an order form with it. So I'm going to be really simple about order forms. Because everybody asks, like, what do I put on my order form, right? So I'm going to tell you what to put on the order form, and I'm going to tell you a really easy way to get at it, like stupid simple way to get at it. The order form basically just recaps the offer and creates urgency, scarcity to place your order. Actually, it does one more thing. It tells you that your transaction is going to be secure and how fast you're going to get the stuff. So those are the 3 things that your order form does. It just recaps your offer, creates urgency, scarcity to buy, tells you your order is safe and how fast you're going to get it. That's really it. The big point I want you to remember here is that you must submit an order form when your copy goes into legal. If you don't, it gums up everybody else's copy because legal starts to look at your copy and then they say, hey, well, where's the order form? And then you go back and forth 3 days, and what happens is poor Lloyd's sitting there with his copy that's not getting looked at because you didn't submit an order form for yours, and legal's trying to get back in touch with you to get you to submit an order form. So just submit an order form.
You should do it as well. I mean, just for the spirit of extreme ownership, right? Like the only way you're going to get any money for promotion if someone go on your order form and make the fucking order, right? So you got to make sure that you spend some time on it, and it's not just like, hey, we got to put your promotion out, so can you give us an order form? Like, it shouldn't be that way. I mean, you need to think it through a little bit and make sure the order form is the best it can be. It's relatively simple process, but it's a really important process, and it's not something to just be half-assed about.
So here's the dead simple way. We have an order form template that you can just use. So ask, I'll send it to you. Just ask me later, and I'll send it to you. Or ask Ryan, he'll send it to you. So it's a template that I don't know why this thing works, but it is the best working order form that we have. I don't know why. So all you have to do is go through there and replace your offer into that thing. So for instance, you can keep the majority of the words the same. Like the closing line, I think, of that order form is Mark Twain once wrote that the secret to getting ahead is to get started. So get started today by by filling out the form to the right and clicking submit, right? You can keep all those words. All you have to do is where it says bonus number 1, bonus number 2, bonus number 3, just put your bonuses. So the easiest way to get an order form done is literally just to copy the template and put your own bonuses in there.
And the gurus tend to have separate, different guarantees. So
Yep.
it's easier just to find other order forms that have like Jim Rickards guarantee and pop that in there.
Yep.
Is there a reason? Because when I created order form recently, I was surprised. We're now we're defaulting to the actual order on the bottom of the pages to the right.
We're screwing all this up.
Are we?
Yes, don't get me started on that here.
Okay, because I was
getting angry.
Yeah,
we're screwing this up.
Okay.
So
order forms. I remember. In the
I'll talk
last,
to you later about it.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
I remember the last podcast. Someone's sitting right here, and I think someone said that Agora in general could be doing its order forms better.
That's definitely the truth.
He had the solution. I forget what he looked like. Or what his name was.
Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely the truth, though. We need to do a better job testing our order forms, but that's independent of the copy. That's like layout and design and where the order fields go. Do you fill out the order fields to the right? Do you fill them out below? Do you have an audio message on there from the guru just restating that the order form is secure and that they have 15 minutes to order? Like, there's a lot of marketing tricks that we need to do to improve our order forms. That's independent of the copy. For you guys, for the copy, I'll send you the order form template, or Brian can send it to you. Just copy the damn template, put your bonuses in there, and submit it when it goes into legal. Because for whatever reason, that order form has proven, and I don't know why, we're not in we're in a what business, not a why business, that we say, like, I don't know why things work. I just know what works. For whatever reason, the order form that I'm going to send you guys has what's called the lowest abandon rate of any order form, meaning that it has the highest checkout rate of any order form. I have no clue why. So I'll send it to you guys. Just copy it. That's the easiest thing you can do.
For your explanation of just put your stuff in the order form and use a template and send it on, working with Evaldo, and I had like similar instruction when Rob and I worked together on our last front end. And I was like, hey man, here's the order form template. Just plug the stuff in there and send it on. And then I got it back and I found myself actually making a lot of edits. And I think it's really easy to overlook the first part, recaps the offer, where we still use the same guru's voice. We still re-mention the promises, the urgency, and all that stuff. And I just kind of wanted to make that point out loud because it seems like I told you to, put the name in there and submit, and that's all there is to it. And then all of a sudden I'm making these edits. Well, I told you just to do this, and you did this, so why am I making all these edits? And I think it's kind of easy to overlook the whole recap the offer language of what to do.
Yeah, it should be. That's another advantage of writing your order form while you're writing your extra copies. It should be congruent. It shouldn't be like, wait, I hit the button and now I'm like in a different place and someone else is talking to me. I don't know who they are. I mean, it shouldn't seem like a seamless experience for the person doing it. I mean, they shouldn't notice your order form, put it that way. If they're like confused by order form, then something really got fucked up. That should be the easy part.
Okay, everybody clear on order forms? Easy peasy, right? Just put them in the template for now. Once you abide by the rules and you learn the rules, then later in your careers you could break the rules and spend 4 days writing order form copy that the world's never seen before that may have the world's lowest abandon rate. For right now, just put in the fucking template and call it a day and send it along. And just be like, thank fucking good. I'm glad I'm done the order form now. I'm going to my next idea.
That's true. I need to add your card band emails too when you send it.
Yeah. So, yeah. Here, hold that thought for a moment because I got very strong feelings of that one too. Okay, so product launch formula, we're done. Effectively, you guys got a lot more to read about that. Order forms are easy. We're done. Let's talk about funnels. That's going to be the third thing we talk about today. And again, funnels can be a 4-day class in and of themselves. But I'm going to define a funnel. I'll show you what goes into that, including cart abandoned emails, which we're going to talk about for a second. So a funnel is basically what happens after someone gets to that order form and either abandons that order form or completes that order form. This is everything that happens after they get to the order form and they decide whether they're going to purchase or not purchase. So let's go down the route of purchasing first. The funnel is everything that it gets added onto that thing that you can customize your order today and add back-end products and add lifetime products. It's basically the, hey, do you want fries with that discussion at McDonald's? Right? So you've ordered your Big Macs you're a big man. The person says, hey, do you want fries with that? Would you like to supersize your order? That's what a funnel is in our business. This is everything that comes after they complete the process, and you're going to try to upsell them, cross-sell them, downsell them, do everything you can to basically, and I mean this ethically, extract as much money from them on day zero as possible. Day zero is the day that they order their first thing. So you'll hear us say that too, kind of in marketing speak. Day zero, how do you get them to spend as much money with us after they've just completed the checkout process?
I mean, I think you guys have all experienced that buying something. That once you make that decision in your head, like, I'm going to buy this car. Okay, and you sit down with the guy and he starts going over all the options you could add to the car, sunroof, leather seats. You're pretty open to that. I mean, the hardest part is like creating a buyer. That's the hardest part. Once someone has their credit card out, they've already entered it. People are pretty open-minded to what other things you want to offer. And that's just easy money.
So let me give you some metrics and I'm going to tell you how we do it. On front ends, normally by the time they hit complete order, normally that customer is worth about $65 to us. And I'll tell you how, again, I'm going to get to that real quick. As you notice, on most front ends, the offer that you make in your sales letter is going to be for a $49 offer. The offer on the order form of our front ends typically have 3 tiers. They have a silver, gold, and platinum tier. Silver is going to be your $49 offer. Gold is, let's say, and I'm making up some numbers here, a $99 offer. And then your platinum is a $129 offer crossed down to a one-time $89 offer. Normally what happens here is you're going to have half the people take the platinum offer at 89, and you're going to have half the people take the silver at 49. When you blend out that, you get about a $65 customer on average. I'm going to tell you why this is important. So when that customer hits complete order, they're worth $65 to us. Your goal in the funnel is to get them north of $110 by the time they're done with us today. So you're almost doubling their checkout value. So they're worth $65 to us by the time they hit checkout, because half of them are going to choose platinum, half of them are going to choose silver. Your goal in the funnel is to get them to spend almost double that amount with us. So by the time they complete the funnel, they're worth 110 plus to us. Does everybody understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you do that, right? You do that through what's typically called one-time offers. So you check out, and I'm going to tell you where everybody screws this up too, because it drives me. This is going to be like the episode where I just get angrier. You're muching me. I'm going to give you our existing funnel. If you're running a front end, just keep this funnel in place for now. You can experiment with it later. But this is the existing front end funnel that you should use right now. The first one-time offer is that they should get the ability to subscribe for life for the product they just bought. So, hey, you love strategic intelligence. On average, you just spent $65 buying strategic intelligence. The first one-time offer is, hey, do you want a lifetime subscription to strategic intelligence today for the one-time only price of $250? For $250, you get strategic intelligence for life. There's no maintenance fee, and all you have to do is click the yes now or yes, add this to my order today button below.
How much copies on that upsell page?
We'll send you the templates for all of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Templated, probably 4 pages. Okay. If you really want to get creative, you can take it up to 8, 10 pages, depending on what you want to add to the offer. So this is typically 4 pages of copy. And again, I'm going to send you templates for all of this. You'll have templates for all of this. And I'll tell you why in a moment. But that's the first upsell. That's the first one-time offer. Do you want this for life for $250? If you choose no, you go to, and I'm going to send you all the templates for this, to a downsell to say, hey, I understand that lifetime may not be right for you. Maybe you're the type of person that wants to date for a while before we get married. So do you want to add a second year today for the low price of $39? That's if people say no to the lifetime. Now, if people say yes or no to that, or yes to the $250 lifetime, they go into a back-end sale. Back-end sale, full price, $2,000. It should be the hottest back-end that guru has that just sold them. So if you're selling strategic intelligence, I'd probably argue that the hottest backend that we have right now is Rickard's Project Prophecy. So this should give you Rickard's Project Prophecy at $2,000. This is not a one-time offer. That one is not a one-time offer because they'll see the same $2,000 price later. So what you typically do there is that you change the promotion for the backend as little as possible. You take the existing backend that is converting them online and you plop it right there in your funnel. The only thing you change is the call to action at the bottom. That's it. So the action in the promo that's running online will say, click the subscribe now button below and fill out the order form on the next page. Well, you don't have to say that because now you're in an upsell path where we already have the person's credit card. So you change the call to action to click the yes, add to my subscription today, and I'll automatically charge you an additional $2,000. That's the only thing you change. If the promotion is 65 pages, you put all 65 pages of the promotion there. So I see this being screwed up all the time because people say, oh, I'll just write the upsell for that. They write a 4 to 5 page upsell trying to sell somebody on a $2,000 product. That ain't gonna happen. Just take the existing backend that's running online, that's the hottest thing, and put it into the upsell funnel. If they say no to that, you downsell them into a quarterly offer for that backend. Hey, I know that $2,000 may be a little pricey for you. Would you like to try my research for the next 3 months for $510?
You should tell them too. The whole time, like they're getting these upsells and downsells, we already have their credit card. We've already ran essentially, right, the transaction. So if they click away, like they already got the initial whatever thing they put in the cart.
Yeah, you can't, once they've completed that initial checkout process, if they abandon the upsell, you still collect the original order.
So I'm just telling you that, like,
So
don't worry about like freaking them out, like, oh, what did I get into? Because it doesn't matter. We already got, you know, they can just, if they don't want it, if they want to be done with it, they just close their browser and that's that. They're already a customer.
Okay, so if they accept or deny the downsell to the backend or accept the upsell to the backend, they typically go at that point to an order is now complete page. And I can send you guys a map of all of this because I have it all mapped out. And again, I have all the templates there for you guys to use. Everybody understand how that works generally on the front end? So you get $65 by the time they hit complete on the checkout process. Through that entire series, they should be spending $110 or more with us. And we'll get to why that's important in 2 weeks, why that $110 figure is important. So, go ahead.
Quickly going back to the back end, so you don't change anything except the call to action. What if you like added, oh, hey, Ray Blanc here with an urgent message like on top, just to have you cover.
Yeah, normally the backend's going to do that anyway. You know, normally, I would say 50% plus of backend start with the editor, right? Right. And that's why they typically start with the editor because the relationship's already established. So maybe you got to tweak the headline, maybe the lead a tiny bit, you know, so it's not introducing someone cold. But hopefully the backend's already done.
So we don't want to tweak it too much. You know, we know it's working. Eventually, they're going to get that. You know, when they get a lift note, it's going to be the same process. So.
Okay.
Where do things like Alpha Shark Scanner Pro and Root Awakening Pro fit in this upsell chain?
It's a good question. They're right at the end before you get to the order is now complete. The only reason I didn't cover that is they're changing
right.
about what they are. So loads of copies.
I don't think I've ever written the downsell to a second year for $39. Is that something that's usually out of the copywriter's hands? It's just so templated, someone else does it?
Yeah, I'll send you all the templates. The reason it hasn't been done is because we just started it. Okay. Because we just started adding them to all the funnels, and then it increased the cart so much that it should be every new funnel moving forward. But it's all templated. It's like a person who doesn't know anything about direct response can do it.
Yeah,
which I'm hoping will be the marketing team that can do it.
So my next project, I should write one of those.
Yeah, or I'm hoping if I can do our job correctly, I'd rather the marketers write those because it's not worth your time. Like it doesn't need a copywriter to write that. The marketer could do it because it's as simple as like finding and replacing the name of the pub.
Yeah, It's just that I'm at this exact stage right this second. So it's like, should I be looking forward to that? Should I be doing that?
Just remind me and I'll send you the template.
Here's what I'm going to set you up to give you a rant. I mean, if you talk to some internet marketers, like the funnel is an extremely important process that we have not given time and attention to in the past. And we're still like cavemen running two sticks together. I mean, a lot of the guys on the front end, when they're trying like internet marketing, like they're trying to acquire a customer at break even or even a profit on the front end. So they got to make sure that funnel, like say it's $100 CPA, well they got to get $101 then to even make the offer. Whereas our strategy, we have so much capital and cash flow, we have such good copy and big ideas. We've gotten lazy in that aspect, but it's free money. Funnel, it's not free money, but I mean, getting a buyer is the hardest part. Getting them to spend a little more with us is relatively easy compared to just getting a buyer in the first place.
Okay, 2 big points I want to cover.
That's going to rant.
You set it up. Let me show you the back end funnel, because that was the front end funnel. Okay, so the back end funnel. You take the initial sale. Normally on back ends, we do not have a silver, gold, platinum offer. Why? I would say because we're idiots and no one's tested it. Why the fuck are we doing it on the front end and no one's ever decided to test it on the back end? That should be tested on the back end immediately. The next back end that rolls out should have a silver, gold, platinum offer on the order form. It's one of those things that, here's where I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant. Everybody just does what everybody else does before them, because we're like generally, right? Lazy people just do what's been done before them. So what happens is someone says, well, what are our back end prices? And someone says $2,000. Okay, well, let me see a back end order form, right? So I just told you guys to copy templates. Telling you guys to copy templates. Now I'm going to tell you to break it, right? At some point, though, think like, hey, I understand that's a template. Have we ever tried this, right? Have we ever tried that? Can we do it this way? Someone should test a tiered offer on the back end. Like, I don't know why we're not doing it. We're doing it on the front end, and it's taking people up from a $49 value, which is the thing pitched in your sales letter, to a $65 value because of a tiered subscription on an order form, right? Could we take a $2,000 offer and turn it into a $2,300, $2,400 offer? I don't know, but we should try at least.
What about just offering more, like instead of one call, like 2 market calls?
I don't think you could, right? You could add a different bonus here, a different bonus there. But I think there's going to be people that just want to pay more for things in life, right?
Yeah.
That's why people go and they become members of country clubs when they could play the same goddamn golf course down the street for much lower, because they just want to feel more important. They're going to be people who will take the highest level platinum subscription, even if it's not much different than the silver level subscription, because they can feel better about themselves.
I mean, money is
I just buy the best thing, right? Because that's what I default to I default to buying, the Range Rover with all the options, because I just want to feel like I'm more important, even though I'm never going to use that heated windshield ever in my life because I live in California, but I'm going to buy it because I just want to be able to walk into Range Rover and say, I want just load it up.
We don't know what's in people's bank accounts, though. Money is relative. So, if you only have $4,000 in your bank account, you make a $2,000 spend to get a service. Well, that's pretty pricey. If you have $1 million in your bank account and you take a $2,000 and just get the upgrade to the platinum $4,000, what do you care? So, I mean, that's the thing about it. Like, we're just giving people more options.
So, right now, our order forms are only at $2,000 pricing. I suspect that's going to change because I want to change it anyway to see if can we take more money by rearranging the tiers of the pricing. But for right now, let's say it's a $2,000 offer, okay? Your upsell, number 1, is going to be the same thing of your front-end upsell, which is a lifetime to that product. Typically, for the back ends, it's priced between $4,000 and $5,000. Typically.
You'll see in the copy templates, too, like there's a real easy argument you can make for this. The fact that if you're paying $2,000 a year, and you pay $4,000 to get it for life, well, then the third year is really free, and every year after that is free.
Does that make sense?
Why is it so cheap if it is lifestyle?
We know that most people aren't going to pay that amount of money with us overall anyway, so it's still more money that we are getting over the long run. So for them, it's cheap, right? Because then you got to figure, for a lot, it's cheap and relative when you say it like that, but for a lot of people, they look at $4,000, a lot of money for them.
What is
It's
the
cheap relative when you
what
put
are
it
they
in those
worth
terms.
as soon as they click? Like 65 for front ends? What are they worth after the sale?
I'm going to get a little complicated here. So what Inchi's saying is that, in our front end, I just told you that they're worth $65 when they hit checkout, even though the typical offer is pitched at $49. Back end gets a little bit weird. So let me get complicated for a second. You can forget everything I'm about to say for the next minute, but I'll answer your question. Back ends are typically worth about $1,500 after they hit checkout. How could that possibly be? The only offer we're pitching them is $2,000. How are they worth $1,500? Because on back ends, if you exit the order form, we throw a quarterly pop-up in your face when you try to abandon. So probably a third of the offers or orders that come in come on the quarterly, and when you blend it out, it lowers the average price. Anyway, $2,000, right? The first upsell is, do you want this product for life for $4,000 to $5,000? If you deny that, you should go to do you want to add a second year of this product for $1,000? So this is very close to the front end right now, just a much higher pricing. Make
It's like
sense?
an instant renewal.
The next step would be, do you want lifetime access to all my products? Now you're going to bundle all the back-end products together and all the front-end products. It's the total Guru suite of products. That's going to be the next one after that. So whether you say yes or no to the lifetime of that particular product, or say yes or no to the 2-year of that downsell of that product, you go to, hey, what you may not know, and I'm doing this in Jim Rickard's voice, is that Project Prophecy isn't the only high-price research subscription that I have. I've got 3 other ones, and total value, it's $13,000 a year, and you could have it all for $7,500
for life.
For life. So it's $7,500 for life.
Lifetime bundle.
And it is a lifetime total bundle around that Guru. Then you accept or deny that, and you're done. You've done the checkout process. So it can get complicated. $2,000 sale. We normally only have about $1,500 by the time they hit checkout because of a quarterly downsell. We normally upsell them back up to somewhere around the $2,500 range if we do this correctly. You as a copywriter at the end of the day are responsible for these things. So let's now come all the way back to the start of class. If you do, and then I'm going to get to Sean's question. So you do a product launch formula. That's basically like a sales letter. Then you have your sales letter. Then you have all these order forms and funnels. That's like a third sales letter. So the work really compounds if you're doing product launch formulas. If you ditch the product launch formula and you turn in your sales letter, it's almost like having a second sales letter with all these funnels and upsells and order forms. So just try to script this out as much as you can for now. And here's what I would do. I would not spend much time at all thinking about my order form or my funnel. I would use templates right off the bat. If my promo is working, I'd go back and try to optimize all this stuff. I would not, so let me repeat this. I would not spend a shit ton of time thinking about your order form or your funnel until your promotion is working. Because you will kill yourself with work if you're trying to optimize all this shit. Because let's say in reality, if you're writing 6 promotions a year, at this point in your careers, you're probably only gonna have 1 to 2 of those 6 work a year. Like that's just the reality of the numbers. The best financial copywriters on the planet probably have about a 50% hit rate. The best ones. So that means if they're writing 6 promotions a year, only 3 of them are working. For you guys, to be honest, it's probably gonna be 1 to 2, and that's gonna be a good year for you guys, right? So one or two, and I hope you're all breaking this record. You're all writing 6 blockbusters because of the amazing teaching that we're giving you. But the reality is it's probably gonna be 1 to 2 for your first couple of years. If you're trying to optimize and do this entire funnel series brilliant, your production is going to go way down. And it's going to go way down because you're going to spend so much time worrying about funnels and so much time worrying about order forms. And should this word be here on the order form? Should this be there in the funnel? That you're not going to be able to write 6 promotions a year because it's going to take so much of your time. And the chances are you're going to be optimizing something that's not working in the first place. Because all this only matters if your big idea is good. And all this only matters if you can hook someone's attention with their headline and lead. Chances are most times that idea is not going to be that good. It's not going to resonate with the marketplace, and you're not going to get people to the checkout page. So only about 15 to 20% of the people, and this is on a good promotion. On a good promotion, only 15 to 20% of the people who see your promotion end up on the order form. On a bad promotion, it's probably 5%. So if you're spending all this time thinking about how to optimize these 5% who get to your order form, then of the 5% to get to your order form, probably 90% of them are abandoning your order form. So now you're having like 0.5% response rates. Don't try to optimize everything until you know it's working. Just use the templates. Just use the templates, turn it in, get it off your plate, go on to your next idea. If that previous idea ends up working, go back and optimize it. So if your previous idea ends up getting great response rates on the front end, but you're only seeing your cart values of $90, your checkout value of $90, then go back and say, okay, my idea is working. I'm getting a ton of new subscribers on this idea. I'm going to go back and optimize this idea to try to get my cart values up north of $110. But don't spend a lot of time on this until your idea is working. Does that make sense? Okay. Cart abandons. Let me say one more thing. Cart abandons are one more thing you as a copywriter are responsible for. Cart abandons is when someone abandons that checkout process. We have an email capture process to get them to the order form. So we have their email, but we don't have their order. But they've made it all the way to the order form. So typically we send them 2 or 3 re-engagement emails that we call cart abandon emails. You guys see this all the time, right? If you leave something in your Amazon cart and you delete it, Amazon's going to email you the next day and say, there's still items left in your cart. Basically the same thing here. If you abandon our cart checkout process, we will send you the course of 2 or 3 emails saying, come back, we'll give you a better deal or anything like that. You're responsible for those as well. Just use the templates. Because otherwise you're optimizing something that may not be working in the first place. Hold on one second, Sean.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Oh, right, the time frame. I don't know. The time frame between when you send out your promo and you find out it's working, I mean, how much time is your time?
Hold that thought for just a moment. I'll come right back to it. Sorry, you're getting the hold the thought mode today. These are also an open loop.
What's a good response rate for the cart abandonment?
2%. I don't know. It's like, I look at that stuff and you can get lost in that stuff very quickly because there's so much work to do. Most of the time, the cart abandonment series is like picking up free money, right? Money that just otherwise wouldn't be there. You put a process in place, you let it run, like maybe it's 2% of the people you recapture. And maybe if you write the world's most amazing cart abandonment series process, maybe you get up to 3%. It's, in the end of the day, it's not that much money. So I never spend it. Like in the order of importance, I leave cart abandons for very last, like very, 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 very last. Because there's just not, you can't make such a significant impact that the numbers change radically. Okay, so Sean, coming back to that one. Ask me that again. What's the typical?
Yeah, when you write your promo and it goes out and you want to know if it's working, I mean, what's the time frame on that? You should know the numbers.
Yep. Okay, so the answer is it depends. And I'm gonna give you, I'll give you the quick of it. So, you know, again, Sean's question is: you send your promo out. What time frame passes for you to be able to determine if this is worth spending more time on in the funnels or not, right? So the answer is it depends, because let's give you some front ends real quick. And I'll give you some metrics. All of the front ends that you guys write will test to our internal list first. The internal list, with only one exception that I've ever seen, is the best proving ground for how well your promotion is going to work. So even though your front end's single goal is meant to go outside in the world and attract customers that have never done business with us before and bring them into our business, we will test them to our house customers first because they're our best customers. Number one, we can get at them fast because we have their email address on hand. And number two, we can get them cheap because we have their email address on hand. So instead of us, waiting to have your promos approved on Facebook that we don't know if it's going to work or not, to spend money to try to acquire customers that we don't know if the idea is right or not, we test everything to our internal files first. On a front end, you should see somewhere north of a 3% conversion rate. If you see something north of a 3% conversion rate, and I'm going to define what this is, and then we're going to get into the metrics next week. What that means is that 3% of the people who see your offer buy. That's on the front end. If that happens, you've got a working promotion pretty much. If it's between let's say if it's between 1.5% and 3%, it's It's going to take a while because what that's telling you is that something's not right with that promotion, but it's not a complete dud. If it's between 1.5% and 3%, you might want to write new headlines and leads to try to see if you can increase your conversion. If it's beneath 1.5%, you pretty much know that that thing's a bomb. It's not good on the front end. So if it's north of 3, that's a working promotion. You can go with marketing and try to make sure that you optimize your cart value. If it's beneath 1.5, you can just forget you ever wrote the thing and say that it was someone else's idea and you never wrote it in the first place. If it's in that middle ground, it might take you a month and a half to write new headlines and leads. So don't worry about the funnels. If it's between 1.5% and 3%, don't worry about the funnels. Worry about your headlines and leads because that's what's going to make the impact. On the back end, north of a 1% conversion rate is typically pretty good. Between 0.7 to 1% is the middle ground. Beneath 0.7, you're probably looking at something that's not going to get that much attention. Your cart, sure, 1% or higher is typically pretty good on the back end. You got something that you know you're going to work with. 0.7 to 1%, you got a middle ground promo. Maybe you got to write new headlines and leads, get attention to it. Less than 0.7%, you're looking at something that's not going to get that much attention, so therefore don't go back and try to optimize all the carts and stuff like that.
Joe, so do we have any of that heat map software?
We do.
More pages?
We've had it in the past.
What are your results with that?
Yeah.
Finding where they drop off.
Yeah, so what Jimmy's asking, just to make sure everybody understands, is that there is tracking software that you can put on your promos that basically records the screen activity of the customer who's looking at your promotion. And it shows you where their cursor goes, what they look for, how they scroll. I'll show you, remind me on Wednesday, I'll show you, my buddy runs he's actually part of St. Paul Research. His name is Tony Berner. He runs a pet supplement business.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, and he uses a service called Hotjar. Hotjar literally does screen capture recordings for all your customers who look at your promotions. It's mind-boggling. Like, we think that our customers read our promotions. We all think that. They don't. They look at the headline. They scroll, look at subheads. They come back to find stuff that they're interested in reading. They do not read their promo in the linear way that you write your promo. There's no way around that. They just don't. And you're going to be amazed when you see these Hotjar recordings of where customers go. They look at images, they look at subheads where they read, they look at the main headline complex, and they scroll very fast. So it's pretty wild to see, the screen recordings of hundreds and hundreds of customers. Like, we think, oh, this is great. They're going to read every word of this.
It's basically like clients teaching us to read a book.
Yes.
They read it the same way.
They read the same way.
Even the ones that buy.
Yeah, and I'm sure they're going to go slower, right? But it's still like they're not reading every word. You can see images are very important. Headlines are significantly important, right? And this is why the VSL works, because they can't control the VSL for the most part. They have to go at our pace. So if they find the headline and lead interesting, they can't fast forward for the most part on VSLs. That's why I'm convinced the VSL works over the other formats, because we're in control of the sale that way. You look at a text-based document, they're in control of the sale because they can fast forward, they can scroll down, they can go at their own pace, and therefore they don't see the proof that we want them to see in the order that we want them to see it. VSLs take that ability away from them. They have to listen to the proof, or they can walk away from their computer, right? But I don't know if they're doing that.
Question.
Mm-hmm.
When we write a promo, can we also do this as a form of testing? So we test the word out, say, hey, they read it, and it turns out that that's really high up on the word, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then we say, all right, let's make that into VSL.
Mm-hmm.
Has that been done before?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's summarize real quick, because again, today is the rule of 3 plus Ryan's bonus rule of the book. So number 1, product launch formula. It's just a tool for you guys to be able to use to potentially increase your sales. It's a lot of work, but you could potentially 10x your sales by using the product launch formula to get people engaged. By the time they hit your sales letter, they're already so warmed up and so in their seat and so ready to buy that you can boost the conversions on your sales page. It's a weapon that you could use. If you're going to use it, study all the ones that have been done in Agora, sign up for other people's hot lists, see how they do things, see how they warm you up, see how they communicate that you should be in that seat, see in which forms they communicate. Are they sending you a Facebook message? Are they text messaging? Are they sending you a voicemail? Are they sending you 18 emails telling you to be in your seat? So study those. 2, order forms. Just copy the templates on those until you see something really working. Then you can go back and really try to re-explore how to write a better order form. Until then, just copy the templates. And then all the funnels, just copy the funnels that I just gave you guys. I'll send you links for all of those. Put those in place. Don't think hard about those at the start. And this is going to be something that everyone's going to tell you outside this room that you should think hard about. I'm telling you not to think about it. I promise you, don't think about it. This is where people who just repeat other shit that other people say outside this room, they'll say, oh, you got to think hard about your funnel. No, fuck your funnel. Fuck your funnel until it's working. Fuck your funnel until it's working. Yeah. It's people are dumb. I mean, I'm sorry, but they are. They just repeat everything else. Oh, you gotta worry hard about your funnel. Don't worry about your funnel. Make sure your big idea works first. Because if your big idea doesn't work, then don't invest the time to make your funnel. Write a new big idea. And when you have a big idea that's working, then you spend the time in the funnel. Okay, so quick homework on that. Funnels can be done a million different ways. And I want you guys to go through some funnels. So here's what I want you to do. Can I have a volunteer? I need one person volunteer. Sean's going to volunteer. Sean, can you start up a Google Doc? Like one of those Excel-looking Google Docs, Google Sheets or whatever the shit they're called. Put everybody's name in there. Well, everybody put their name in there. Find a sales link. Personally order that product and go through that person's funnel. You can expense this all, so we'll reimburse you for all this. But the reason that I want it in a Google Sheet document is for two things. Number one, I don't want everybody buying the same products because that's not going to serve the group. Right? So like if we all bought the same Oxford Club product, that's not going to serve us because then we'll all only have learned one thing. I want everybody buying different products. So put your name in there, put the product/sales link that you're going to buy. Here comes the big caveat. There's screen recording software that you guys should all be able to get for free. One that I used in the past is Jing, Jing. There's another one called Screencast-O-Matic. Install this software before. It's just screen capture software. Before you buy from the funnel, turn that software on. And if you don't know how to do it, ask somebody. Someone's going to figure it out. It's really easy. Turn that software on. Buy the thing you want to buy. Record what happens in your funnel. So document what happens in that funnel. It's going to record your entire screen, right? So this is pretty easy. Record your entire screen. Just go through and accept yes or no on that person's funnel, so that you could document it. So then if there's 20 of us in this room, we're gonna have 20 different examples of order form funnels, all documented through screen capture.
What's our budget? So we got to do it by the bundle.
Yeah, I would say try to keep it, that's a product of like less than $200. So try not to accept everyone's like, if everyone like ends up in the Bahamas on this like one-time only event where you can stamp the world, for $65,000, but there's only one spot, so you gotta let me know right now. Yeah, try to keep the whole funnel underneath $200. Yeah. I'm sorry.
You said it's Jing.
Yeah, Jing is one, Jing, and there's another one called Screencast-O-Matic. I'm sure there's other ones too. Those are the two ones that didn't require me to like go out there and buy $50 of software. It was just like an instant download. And
also for people, like there's a Camtasia is good for Windows and ScreenFlow is good for Mac.
Yep. Problem with those is that you got to pay for them, right?
There's a trial.
Got it. Okay. So Camtasia and ScreenFlow. Yeah. So you could do either one of those. Sounds like there's a trial and you can record these. Where do you find funnels? ClickBank. Who knows what ClickBank is other than Sean? Okay, half. ClickBank is a phenomenal way to find funnels. ClickBank is an online marketplace where if we are all running our own little independent businesses, ClickBank handles your merchant account, basically your order form process and everything like that. And then you could post your offer onto this thing called ClickBank and other people can find you. So if Ryan's got a list of fitness customers, but I don't know who Ryan is, and I've got a new fitness product that's an info product, I can go list my product on ClickBank. Ryan can go into ClickBank and say, hey, I've got a list. I don't know what to sell to my customers. I'm going to sort high to low on fitness products. He finds my fitness product. He and I never have to know each other. He sells my fitness product. I get a check. He gets a check because ClickBank is the affiliate marketplace that sits in the middle.
And they get a cut of it. That's how ClickBank makes money.
So they're just an affiliate marketplace that both list owners can go to run products and product owners can go to list their promotions with payout schedules. So on ClickBank, you guys can go there. If you don't know how to go there, can you show them how to do it?
Yeah.
Is that cool?
ClickBank.com.
ClickBank.com. You go to Marketplace in the top right-hand corner. There's a drop-down menu on the left-hand side that says what category. You could look at, health and fitness. You could look at survival. You could look at business and investing.
There's one thing that's important as well. You don't want to buy a product that's not converting, so you're better to. When you're on the marketplace, you will have something that you can search, click go. That will sort out the product by gravity. Like the want
Yeah,
the
gravity.
sovereignty. You don't want to
I
buy
can
it.
do something like that. I can do a list of stuff.
Yeah, gravity is the metric they use in ClickBank. If you're a list owner and you want to know what product to use, like I don't know how they calculate it, but that's like the good converting offers are the gravity score.
You can watch people's VSLs, right? You can watch VSLs that are typically crazy, that are outside of the sphere of VSLs that we normally look at. I mean, these are wild, crazy, some of them pretty non-compliant VSLs because these are not big businesses. Like these are businesses that are like mom and pop businesses without a 30-person compliance team sitting behind them. So they can make some claims on there that we'll never be able to make. You see some wild products on there.
I mean, you got to get yourself on some lists too. I mean, one thing you can do is if you go into Iris and look at the external screen that shows all the advertising we're buying, you'll see all the lists that we run. So if you see that we use Newsmax, we don't use it as much as we used to. We use, every Agora division uses Newsmax every day. Sign up for Newsmax, or if it's Constitution.com or whatever, just see what lists that we're buying and just seed yourself on the list. Usually they're free. You can just go Google and find the website and just put your email in there.
You can also buy other Agora offers that aren't ours. So go buy something from Optra Club, someone can. Go buy something from Banyan Hill. Buy something from Stansberry Associates.
You should be on all their lists too. I mean, if you need help on signing up, but you should be on all of our definitely sister divisions lists.
Okay, so everybody cool with these three things? Again, we could, with the exception of order forms, we could spend days on funnels and we could spend days on product launch form. And this is just an introductory thing to a lot of the things that you guys are going to see. So everybody cool on product launch formula generally? Cool on order forms generally? Cool on funnels generally? Okay. And
So-
Sean will send around that document. Do that, buy the product, record your screen, everything like that before Wednesday's session.
Can you buy a weight loss pill?
Can you buy a weight loss pill? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you can buy supplements.
I make them deliver at the office.
What's that?
I make them deliver at the office.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so you can buy physical products too. If you find a cool little survival gadget or something like that on there, like cool little flashlight or something like that. Again, try to keep your total order underneath $200, please, so that you end up with an AR-15 that's fully done up. I'm going to show up in the office for $3,500, which is going to piss off half the coworkers anyway. So yeah, you can order physical products. You can order a weight loss pill if you see it on there. You can order some survival items. You can order a cool little thing here or there. Just make sure you record the whole sales call.
So next session, compliance, legal. I'd like you guys to read this book before Wednesday. When I say read this book, yes, I mean exactly the way I told you previously. You have my permission to read it in 15 minutes. But that said, doesn't mean just skim it and learn nothing. I'd like you to find one thing you can learn in here on how to deal with another person that will help you in your relationships when you interact with somebody, preferably someone in a professional setting, because it can be really useful when you interact with legal to make sure that you win friends and influence people.
Just say something about that really quick.
Yeah.
With legal. We just got Cal and I got a first draft back from legal for front end review.
Engine.
It was like, holy fuck. There's this chick like hate us, like what's going on, right? Send her an email like, hey, can we go to lunch and take for coffee? Can we talk about this, sit down? Made it happen like an hour or two later. She met us at Doobie's, sat down, went over all this stuff, and it was so good. And such a good thing to be able to interact with someone and like
just grab me up, buddy.
Use persuasion in person. Tell me what's wrong with this. How can we make this work? What do you need me to say here? It was so much better than going through emails and like this no face just aside. This woman hates me for no reason. Just trying to kill my promo.
Yeah.
It was super great to do stuff.
So that's what we're going to cover on Wednesday too. That's a perfect setup because we're getting to compliance on Wednesday. Again, your promo's done. Now you got to turn it into compliance with your order form. And when you turn it into compliance, how do you deal with compliance? With what their role is, that they're not our enemies, that they're there to actually help and protect us, even though it may seem adversarial at times. And how do you deal with them in a good way that, like Rob says, everybody else just deals with them via email. And it'll waste time. It'll go back 4 hours of you emailing back and forth about nitpicky stuff on a promo. When instead, what you could do is just say, let's go meet for coffee. Can we go over all these changes? Can you tell me what you're trying to accomplish? Can I tell you what I'm trying to accomplish? And we come to a middle ground. So it's all types of little tips and techniques for dealing with compliance. So that'll happen on Wednesday. And I think we're going to have, Ryan and I are going to shut up the majority of that. which is going to be unique for me, and I'm going to shut up, but we're going to have legal come in for like an hour, and then we're going to have a copywriter who actually wrote the 50 people control the world's energy markets, and they're all on speed dial. So his name is Jim Amrine. He works with us. So he's going to be here on Wednesday as well. He's going to tell you the copywriter side of dealing with compliance, because his stuff does sail through compliance really well. So we'll have legal for an hour, and then we'll have the copywriter perspective for an hour. And we'll try to tell legal that they should leave the room for when we get to copywriter. I'm telling you guys now, after legal gets done presenting from 8 to 9, try to get them to exit the room as if we're all going to leave. Hey, good session. We're all leaving. And then when they leave, we come right back in. Bring the copywriter back in. We'll tell you everything. No, I think it's a couple of them. Three of them maybe, something like that. Okay, cool. All right. Who ordered your funnels? Your funnels before Wednesday.
All right. Who learned something today? Wow.
Oh, you get specific.
Good answer.
Yeah, specifics. Good.
Fuck your funnel.
Fuck the funnels. Okay. Good. Fuck the funnels unless the big ideas work. Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good just to like get the metrics in terms of like, what's successful when the hot list was successful in the back end, successful front end, kind of just grounds me more in terms of what's good.
Yeah, it's good to know. The only way you can really impact those numbers, of course, is by having a great big idea and just making sure you have flawless execution as much as possible.
Right. I'm very excited. I just ordered a book it was clearly like 800 pages, and the publisher was like, it's got to be 500. They just shrunk the text down to like 4 times. I'm very excited to read that.
What was the book?
Oh, it's clinical psychology.
Super disappointed you ordered it.
I have a comment about the funnel thing. We're of course, it's like a different situation than normal. All the money, you test things, you get that without having everything optimized for the net ass. I think that's important to make that distinction. So if you don't work at Agora anymore, I move from that.
Yep. Yeah, if you don't work at Agora, you got to optimize your funnel, every bit of it, because you're probably trying to extract as much value from that single promotion. We have the ability to write 180 sales promotions a year, right? And have the ability to only have 30 or 40 of them work, and I still to make $250 million. Right? Yeah. Small businesses don't have that ability.
Okay, so one quick question. As a copywriter, do we get to decide whether it's just a regular text or DSL?
Yeah, you as a copywriter have that final decision.
Okay.
The majority of the time, we launch in text because it's faster. So you have a choice. Do you want it fast, or do you want the format to be different? You can make that choice. My thought is that unless it needs to be a video, then just get it out there faster by doing it in text. Because unless it needs to be a video, your text isn't going to make or break it. Right? The format isn't, unless it needs to be a video, isn't going to make or break your idea. The big idea is going to make or break your idea. And you can see whether that's going to work in text or video sales letter or webinar or whatever the format might be, right? So you can go for speed and go through text, or if you really, really, really wanted to wait for a DSL, as long as you're willing to wait for it, then that's your decision as a copywriter. At the end of the day, it's your copy. It's your royalties. It's your promo. Don't let anybody outside this building, outside these walls, tell you what to do with your promo. It's Extreme Motion. It's your stuff, but there might be a trade-off. And we can do it in BSL, but you got to wait 3 more weeks.
And once you're working on it, once you know it's working, and you can optimize it. That's where you can test different formats.
But yeah, you're going to run into, that's another thing, you guys will run into people saying, hey, we just don't do it that way. No, they do it that way because this is what makes the money. So if you guys want something done the way that you want it done, that is your ability to do it. Don't let anybody outside these walls, because you're going to face these people. Because again, when we scale from 30 people who in our business who know what they're doing to 200 people very fast, there's a lot of people who only do things because someone else told them to do that. Someone else told them to do that. So you're going to run into a situation where people are going to say, we only do things via text. And if you want it in a video sales letter, you argue and you will get your way. And if not, then come talk to somebody who's running the business, and they'll make sure that you guys get what you want. Because it's your royalties, right? So you guys should control that. You don't want your royalty to be determined by someone else who may or may not have right information about how the way we do things are. It's whatever.
I want to make a quick comment for everyone who's like working on their first promo or going into it, because I think like this style question has come up twice today, is that when you submit your promo, it's not set in stone. Like you said, you were talking about the order form, like we'll optimize later if it works. It's the exact same principle with all aspects of the promo. We did the hottest IPO in pure text, and now it's going to VSL after they saw, wait a minute, this could work. We should also do it as a VSL. So just because you let it go and it's gone through legal doesn't mean it's like the end of it for you and you can't go back and fix things or modify it later.
You can't multiply at 0. That's the hard part. I mean, and unfortunately, as Joe said, like probably 70-80% of your promos are just not going to work. So as opposed to spending all your time trying to optimize nothing into something, when we reach that point, it's just more efficient in life to work on your next big idea. Once you get a hit, then it's like, what are all the fun things you can do to get even more, squeeze even more money out of it?
So if you're supposed to write 6 promos a year and you have a winner and you want, hey, I'm going to go product launch, I'm going to do all this extra stuff, I mean, would that like trade off there? Or is that still 6 promos?
I mean,
I'm just
we set up the 6 promo per year for your benefit.
Right, I get it.
So, if you write 6, which I don't even think is even possible, no one's really even done this, and none of them work, then you have met your expectation and you get to continue working. We do that for your protection because I don't even think that's even possible because we know number 7 is going to work, right? Just the numbers say. If you write 3 of them and one of them is $10 million, I mean, the business is to make money, okay? Right. So that expectation is set in place for your benefit. And also...
Well, I mean, I don't think I understood. I mean, when it's working, the numbers are working, and you start to write stuff. Does that make sense? Or,
yeah.
Or
I mean, here's the thing, though. Are you in it for just one promo to work? Or are you in it for a long-term career? What's going to be your next?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because even say it takes another whole month to optimize it, then you still have 12 more months beyond that, right, to continue to write copy. So, I mean, if you want a long-term career, you got to kind of bang out some sort of schedule.
Okay.
Another way you can look at it too is if you have one that works and say it takes like 3 or 4 months optimizing it, well then maybe you kind of learned a lesson that the faster you bang them out, it's kind of the Givaldo rule.
Right.
Like why take 2 months? Just write them in 1 month.
Right.
As long as you're having good ideas. Good question. All right. Win friends and influence people.
Well, I was just about to say interesting thought, but Joe said something about it makes your people go irrational. That's what I scribbled down. Find ways to make the viewer go irrational.
Yeah. More emotional. Better way to put it.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.